This is a sweet and simple modern classic cocktail. Let me show you how to make a Fogerty. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Matt, I'm the whiskey nerd, and like I said, this week I'm making a modern classic cocktail that's sweet and simple to make. And when I say this is a modern classic, I really mean this is a modern classic, because despite the name The Fogerty and despite the kind of visual presentation of the cocktail, it was only created a few years ago. It was created in 2010 by Ryan Fitzgerald at the Beretta bar in San Francisco, and it's actually a very nice modern kind of take on those kind of classic cocktails featuring Italian aperitifs, featuring rye whiskey that give you a lot of spicy and dryness because it makes it a little bit sweeter on the back end. This sweetness comes from the Creme de Cassis, which is like a blackberry liqueur, very sweet, very tasty, and does add a nice bit of depth to cocktails. I have seen a little bit of kind of maybe debate online whether you should use Creme de Cassis or Creme de Cacao. From my research, it looks like the original spec for the cocktail did use Creme de Cassis, so that's what I'm using, but I can definitely see how Creme de Cacao would work really well with those kind of chocolatey notes mixing with the rye spiciness, just give you a very nice cocktail, but I'm using Creme de Cassis. The original recipe though, it did call for Campari, and I'm using Aperol, which is a different substitution obviously, but I'm using the Aperol for two important reasons. One, I prefer Aperol. I think Aperol is similar enough to Campari to give you those same notes, but it's a little bit softer, it's less bitter, and a little bit sweeter, so I think it does balance well, at least to my palate, in a lot of cocktails, because sometimes I find Campari can be a little bit dominating, and especially in this case, because I'm not using an American rye, I'm using an Irish rye whiskey. This is a 100% rye whiskey, so it's definitely going to give you all those classic kind of rye spicy notes. It's coming from Powers in Ireland though, so they're not using virgin American oak barrels, which is going to give you a lot of oak spiciness to complement those rye spiciness. Instead, they used pre-used barrels, so they will have more the vanilla, butterscotch kind of notes coming through rather than all that oak spice. So for that reason, I think using the Aperol works really well here, because it means that Campari bitterness isn't going to overpower the kind of softer notes you do get with the Powers Rye. So that's enough talking about the drink, let's get to making it. It is a stirred drink, so we're going to get our mixing glass and we're going to pop a nice rock of ice into there before we measure out the rest of our ingredients. We're going to be starting off with our cassis because it is quite thick and I want to make sure I get all of it back out into the cocktail, because I do want to get that little bit of sweetness, because for the most part this is going to be our only sweet ingredient in the cocktail. It does only call for a very small amount, just 7.5 ml, so I'm using this kind of precision measure I have from Difford's, which is very handy for getting those small little measures out. So there was 7.5 ml of Creme de Cassis. Next up it's 15 ml or half an ounce of Aperol. Again, like I said, if you like it more bitter, if you like it kind of, if you're using an American rye, you could use Campari, but me, I'm using the Aperol because I think it does just work that little bit better, at least to my palate. So that there is 15 ml or half an ounce. I'm actually running kind of low on Campari, but on Aperol, sorry, but at least I can make a few more of these today to enjoy it. Last up, it's our Powers. This is gonna be 45 ml of our Powers Irish rye, or an ounce and a half, because we are using other ingredients that are alcoholic, so we don't want to make the cocktail too boozy or too kind of heavy. So we're just going to pop that in there, and then follow it up with 2 dashes of orange bitters. These are from Off the Cuff. They're an Irish bitters producers, but you can use whatever bitters you want. So that there's 2 dashes, and then we're just going to wait to stir it down for about 30, maybe 35 seconds until we can feel the outside of the glass is nice and cold. Okay, I think this is nicely chilled now, so we're going to get ready to strain it out into a nice chilled Nick and Nora glass, just like that. It's going to be plain and simple. Just going to pop our strainer up on top, pour out our cocktail. We can see that we have this lovely kind of bright red colour coming from the Aperol and from the Creme de Cassis. And just as a final little garnish, we're going to take a little twist of an orange peel, drop it in, just like that. And that right there is a Fogerty. Now real quick, before I taste this cocktail, if you're new here, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button. I put out cocktail recipes featuring whiskey every Friday, and I put out whiskey reviews on Wednesdays. And if you want to check out my review of the Powers Rye. There'll be a link up there, there'll be a link down below which you can check out. But for now, let's taste this cocktail. Cheers. That is nice. Like I said, it is a sweet and simple cocktail. I mean, it's only got 3 ingredients, 4 if you count the bitters, 5 I guess if you count the little bit of an orange twist in there. But it comes through really nice. I mean, the rye spice is there. I mean, the Powers Rye has this kind of sweet, gingery, spicy note to it, as well as those kind of herbal botanicals you'd expect from a rye, and that does come through. If I think I used the Campari instead of the Aperol, it probably would have been lost because it doesn't have that heavyweight punch that some American ryes do. So definitely, if you're using like the Powers Rye or a softer American rye, maybe try out using the Aperol instead of the Campari, because that just makes the cocktail nice and rounded. If you like it more bitter though, the Campari would probably work for you, but for me, this works really well. The Cassis does come through, only 7.5 ml, so a quarter of an ounce, but has this nice kind of back end of sweetness. Like as you taste it, you get the Aperol kind of bitterness, you get the Powers Rye kind of herbal botanical note. As you swallow it, on that back end, you get that kind of orange and blackcurrant note. You get the bitters coming through. You obviously get it from the peel as well, but then you get that blackcurrant note coming through at the very end on the tail, just making a nice kind of refreshing cocktail. So yeah, I think I'm gonna keep on enjoying this because it's very nice. Like I said, I put out whiskey reviews on Wednesdays, cocktail recipes on Fridays. So if you want to see them, scroll down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, and while you're there, let me know what kind of cocktail you'd like to see me make in future. But for now, I'm gonna keep enjoying this, and I will see you next time. Sláinte.